All right, welcome back to the Starfighter podcast. We have a very fun episode for you guys today. Not a whole lot going on in the world of entertainment as far as like movie reviews or TV reviews go, TV show reviews. So today we are going to be doing a special Star Wars episode talking about the future of Star Wars. And joining me is my brother Adrian. Good to have you. How's it going?
Yeah, good to be here and talk Star Wars with you. We haven't just talked Star Wars in general in a while,
I know.
so
I think
looking
it's
forward to it.
it's been a long time coming because we wanted to have you on for Book of Boba Fett, but it just didn't pan out. But we can talk about basically anything Star Wars tonight, so that'll be
Nice.
fun. And before we get started, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, leave a like. Definitely join the conversations, whether you're in the live chat right now or watching on the replay. Would love to hear your thoughts about all these different topics that we're going to discuss. All right, let's get into it. So, I think to kind of kickstart everything, we want to go over, I guess, the current state of Star Wars, kind of where we are right now after the Book of Boba Fett. I know you have a lot of thoughts on it. I have a lot of thoughts on it, but I haven't really gotten to hear everything, your whole take after watching the show. So, why don't we start there?
Just in general.
Yeah. I,
Um,
I guess we'll start with how did you enjoy Boba Fett?
I think, to be honest, I had to have, hopefully not starting on a negative point here, but I did need, I think it was by episode, there was 6 episodes, right? And I think
Yeah.
episode 4, I was listening to another podcast, and I kind of need this guy to tell me I needed to hear someone say this. He said, for all the issues that there is that he had with it, and him and I shared kind of some same issues with it. He said, if you could go back, to your 12-year-old self and tell yourself, hey, in a few years you're going to get a Mandalorian show and a Boba Fett show and a little baby Yoda of Yoda's race, live action, it's like you would barely care if it was good or not. You would barely care what the story was or anything else. So not to make a podcast with other podcast opinions on it, but basically when he said that, it kind of helped put things into perspective for me, because yes, I have some issues with it, but in general, there's just a lot to love about it. I mean, the Rancor was awesome, just absolutely awesome to see. Just so many cool moments. Can't remember last time I cheered something so hard. Well, it was probably when Baby Yoda stopped the fire, but I had one of those similar moments when Black Chrysanthemum showed up, because it's just like, oh my gosh, exactly the type of characters we need to introduce in a Star Wars show like this. So and when Cad Bane showed up,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, like, so yeah, there's so much to love and so much to be positive about as well.
Right. And I don't know if you like listened to our last review that we did of like the finale, but we were definitely pretty open and honest about the problems too. And so we can kind of talk about some of those again as well. Because again, I think we want to talk about kind of where we are as far as the state of Star Wars, and I guess if we feel negative about stuff, then that's cool too. But yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed the way Ethan put it. And I think all of us were kind of on the same page when we did that finale review. Is we enjoyed it, but the way that he put it was he feels like he enjoyed it for all the wrong reasons.
Oh yeah, that's kind of a good, yeah.
Because, and for me especially, it's like me going back to watch that show. It's gonna be for Mando. It's gonna be for Luke. It's gonna be for Grogu.
Right.
It's gonna be for Cad Bane. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and part of like my issue, I think for anyone, I think I guess maybe the way to say it is like for creative people or people who have a lot of creative endeavors, and especially when it comes to story writing, like I like to write, you know, in my spare time as kind of a hobby, and there's just some really basic things that you just don't do and that Boba Fett does that is just like it made me think to myself when we had, and okay, and so you know what's tough is like I keep hearing all around the internet, well, Mandalorian fit the show, you know, having Din show up, it fit the story arc, and you know it's okay to have other character story arcs within a bigger story. I'm sorry, to me, in my opinion, it's not okay when your series is 6 episodes and 2 of them are not about your main character.
Yeah.
2 of the 6 are not, have nothing to do with Boba Fett. So it, to me, like, again, so that's just one of the very basic things in when it comes to story writing and storytelling, maybe, I don't know, is like you just what I'm trying to say is no one else could get away with that other than Star Wars. Like no other property could get away with that. And so in some ways you could look at that positively, like, yeah, hey, if Star Wars can get away with it and just everybody has a good time and has fun, then that's fine, and everybody kind of moves on quickly because it's just a show as opposed to, you know, a big huge movie, blockbuster movie that everybody's anticipating for years. And at the same time you can look at that really negatively, like, well, they shouldn't be allowed to get away with it kind of thing. But so I kind of see both sides of that, but I can't help but call out what I see, which is we wouldn't accept that with virtually any other property. You know what I mean?
Yeah. At the same time, like I feel like, because I definitely had some problems with the writing too. One thing that I brought out in our reviews is that I feel like, especially in the last few years, the fans, because I think it's safe to say a lot of fans that are Star Wars fans, they're also Marvel fans. Not all of them, but a lot of them are.
Sure.
And that's why, you know, they're watching Disney Plus, especially for those two, for Star Wars and for Marvel. But I feel like in the last couple of years, the fans are way less forgiving when it comes to Star Wars than they are with Marvel. And so, like, I just feel like there's so much backlash on when Boba Fett isn't exactly up to par, but then not enough people are talking about, you know, WandaVision and Loki dropping the ball, Falcon Winter Soldier, stuff like that. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe that's a little too off topic, but
no, I don't think it is. I think it's totally valid. I struggled to, I guess, completely like just come out and agree with that. I think I would need kind of more examples of what you're saying, but I see where you're going, and I do think there's a lot of validity to that argument. I guess I would just need some examples because I can't think of any right now.
Right. And I don't know how caught up you are on some of the Marvel shows, but again, that might be going a little off topic.
Most of them, yeah. But yeah, I get what you're saying in that it's sort of like it's just
I don't feel like Boba Fett wasn't bad. You know, again, like I think a lot of us liked it for reasons other than Boba Fett's story arc. But I just feel like at the end of the day, there's just so much good stuff to take away from the show, but so many fans, instead of just, you know, acknowledging
can't see both
the negative stuff, they just, you know, really want to bash it.
Like it overshadows the negative stuff. It overshadows the positive. Yeah, I could see that. Hey, this is off topic, but that's kind of who I am. But did you by chance see Uncharted?
No, I didn't.
Oh man, I'd love to talk with you once you see that.
I haven't
But
heard good things, so I wasn't sure if I
really,
was going to. Yeah.
I've heard plenty of good things, but I went and saw it, and beforehand I had heard kind of like a 5-minute non-spoiler review, and I kind of already was planning on doing this. Sorry, we'll loop it back to Star Wars in a second here, but
Sure.
I was planning on going in and saying, okay, let me try to disconnect as much as possible, detach it from the Uncharted series. Did you ever play the Uncharted series?
No, I didn't.
See,
So I don't know. Maybe
I
that'll be
think you're
fine for
actually
me.
set up better if you haven't seen if you never played the games. For me, I played all the games and I really enjoyed them. I really enjoyed the characters, Nathan Drake and Sully, and so going into it, not only did I already plan to do that, but when I heard someone else say, "Yeah, just make sure you disconnect these as much as possible and view it as just somebody else's iteration of these characters," it totally worked for me. Like I would
Yeah.
say a really good movie. Not maybe not a great movie, but a really good movie. Just like a
Okay.
solid fun time. So I think that gets back to kind of what you're saying, where it's like we have all these expectations, and what I was going to say earlier a second ago is like it's like we set the stakes so high for Star Wars
Yeah.
movies for some
Seriously.
reason. And I think what's tough is I think as a culture, it's hard not to set the stakes so high. Like one, because we love it so much, we just really want it to just wow us and be amazing. But then two, if I'm being honest, when I came out of Infinity War, and then again when I came out of Endgame, I was like, how the heck are they doing this? And Star Wars isn't. So I think that kind of plays into the bigger conversation of it's tough when like a fan base, they, like you said, there's some crossover with Marvel fans and Star Wars fans. So it's like, I think it's tough, at least from my perspective, when you see a property, a huge property, just crushing it when it comes to storytelling and connecting everything and the execution in general, even though they have had some misses. It's hard when you see someone just knock it out of the park, and then Star Wars, which is kind of in the same family, so to speak, and then not so much. You know what I mean? So I think that's
Yeah.
part of it too.
Yeah. Because I was gonna say, you know, I guess whether no matter what your take is on the sequels, I think a lot of people just felt. Also, I'm not super qualified to make sports references, but kind of kind of like when a
Just
team
toss it
is
over to
like
me. I'll help you out.
when a team is taking like a lot of losses, they just they're like craving that really big win, you know. And I felt like
Mm,
that's how Star Wars fans were after the sequels. A big win, um, meaning that the majority of the fan base really um, can gravitate to whatever it is, a show or a film. And I felt like Mandalorian was that big win for everyone.
yep.
But then after a while, after it started to die down, it's like, okay, well, they better not screw up the next one. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, but we need more. Yeah, we
yeah,
really need more, and it's not good enough now. Like
right.
we consume. It's another part of, and if we want, we could talk for another. We could talk the rest of the podcast about this, but it's kind of part of our culture too, is to be consumers and just gobble up everything, binge watch. When you have the chance, and then it's like some of that specialness is gone. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right. It's like as soon as we get a win, it's like awesome, cool, and that celebration period is really short compared to
Yeah,
our anticipation period.
right. And I mean, I don't think Boba Fett like really amounted to what the Mandalorian brought us. Um, but yeah, there's just so many good things from it. And honestly, I think my favorite episode was um, the return of the Mandalorian. I loved pretty much everything about that episode. I think is like one of the best introductions to an episode. It would have been really good if that was just like the beginning of season 3. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But basically, whenever you see
Or dude,
the
like,
Mandalorian for the first time,
yeah.
um, like for the first time in a while, it's always so good. You know what I mean? Like he always has like these awesome introductions. And I love that whole scene when he brings out the saber and then everything on like that Halo planet with the armor and with Vizsla. So awesome.
Yeah, totally. And not to just dwell on what should have been, but could you imagine if out of nowhere, like if they took those 2 episodes and made them kind of just like a feature, like a surprise Mandalorian special, and they
Yeah.
said, we're gonna set up season 3 so that you get all this before season 3, and it's like, you know, an hour and 15 hour 30-minute, you know, Mandalorian special. See, another reason why it's so hard for me to overlook what they did bringing in Mandalorian into Boba Fett is just everybody, you know, our opinions are shaped by our personal experiences. And my personal experience, I work with some graphic design and branding kinds of things in my day-to-day job. And so it's really tough for me because I see something like that happen, and all I see is, well, sorry, I should say one of the very first things I see is you're cheapening the Mandalorian property in an effort to kind of build up the Boba Fett property. You know what I mean? But like there's a brand, Mandalorian has a brand, and the Mandalorian fans, because I have a feeling that there's some Mandalorian fans who could probably care less about Boba Fett. They are hoping to see those things, and at the same time, it kind of takes away from it when you say, oh yeah, it's part of this other show. You know what I mean? So from a
Yeah.
branding perspective, I think it was a big mistake. I feel like it was almost a disservice, I would say, to Mandalorian fans to not present that as a Mandalorian story. Anyway, we don't have to dwell on what should have been, but sorry, could I make one more what should have been? Go ahead. You
I
want
mean,
to say something?
I was just gonna say, like, I don't know if I fully agree with like it's a disservice to the Mandalorian, but I definitely see where you're coming from, and I would also prefer it if they did do like what you were saying, that idea about like a special feature. It makes having to go back through Boba Fett and fast forward, like scroll through the episodes to find the Mandalorian episodes, makes it less weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So one other thing. Okay, this is two things, and I'll try to make it quick because I don't want to. Again, there's so much to love. There's so much to love about Boba Fett. In general, my overall opinion is I had a really good time, and I think I'll actually have a better time going back and rewatching with the proper expectations. But after episode 2, I was like, what is up with these flashbacks? Why are we spending so much time in these flashbacks? And part of me, see, I had a conversation with a friend, and he was like, no, they're going to tie it in and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like,
I was thinking.
I want to believe that they're going to tie in these flashbacks, but it made me question, it made me ask the question, what if I watched, like, what if there was someone who fast forwarded all the flashbacks and never saw any of those? Honestly, I don't think they'd be missing much. Like, they'd be missing some cool set pieces. Like, that train scene was amazing and really cool. But I don't think they would be missing anything from a story perspective that would make them care more. And ultimately, at the heart of storytelling,
you mean all of the Tusken Raider stuff?
Yeah, all of it. Because
Even when they die?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there's even, they talk about it, they mention how the Tusken Raiders were killed. And wasn't it Cad Bane that even told him, you think they were killed by whoever, but or
Yeah.
like so all I'm saying is, as much as I wanted to believe that they were going to tie that in and make it worth something, nothing happened to really deliver on that. And so it was sort of just kind of like, it was almost like a flavor to the story as opposed to a necessary, component of the meal, so to speak, like a necessary component of the story. The only thing, there was a moment on episode 6 where I thought, this is it. This is the moment where everything could change and they could make all those flashbacks worth it, and they could make the whole they could have fixed everything. They could have made the whole concept of the book of Boba Fett with all these side tangents to flashbacks and side tangents to the Mandalorian. They could have delivered on it and made it. They could have basically, I guess what I'm trying to say is, they could have said, hey, you this isn't what you think it is. This is just a little side book. And you know what that moment is? What they could have done?
Tell us.
When Boba Fett and Cad Bane square up. I don't want Boba Fett to die just for the sake of Boba Fett dying. That's not what this is about. But from a storytelling perspective, could you imagine if Boba Fett died?
He should have died.
Yeah. And so then think about
I was
how
rooting for Cad Bane
that
100%.
story is. Same. But then think about how powerful that story is, and how then suddenly it's like, oh, and then now the Mandalorian can actually benefit from that relationship and that story, and then take that on with him to season 3. You see what I mean? Like, there was a quick moment where I was just like, it all came together and all the pieces of the puzzle were there, and then it didn't happen. So it was, I got my hopes way up in that one moment where I felt like, not that I wanted to see Boba Fett die for any, reason necessarily, other than it would have connected things. It would have actually brought more meaning to the whole entire experience. That's the way I see it, I guess.
Okay, I gotta say a couple more things real quick. Going back to the flashback stuff, in particular, when I think of the flashback stuff, I was really hoping that, that brief scene where young Boba Fett is looking out on Kamino, watching Jango Fett fly away. You remember that scene?
Okay. Yep.
They showed it twice. The second time they showed slightly more of that scene, and I was like, okay, this has to tie back hopefully towards the end of the series, and maybe in the finale they'll show that scene again. It felt like there was more to it, like each time they show it there's going to be a little bit more, and they didn't show it again, and it just felt really empty. There should have been more context to it. It just kind of left you hanging. I really wanted to see that again, because I felt like that could have been something they used to tie everything together when it came to him, just him as a person, and him taking losses, dealing with the loss of his dad, and then also tying in the loss of his Tusken Raider family, stuff like that. You know what I mean? I wanted those things, because it's not what I initially would want from his character, but if it's already there, I feel like they needed to tie those in the last episode more to have it all come together.
Yeah. Yep.
And so I was disappointed with that. But the thing that really just upsets me is at the very end where he turns to Fennec and he's like, maybe we're not cut out for this. That part was so dumb.
Goodness. Yeah. Well, honestly, I think the last time I talked to you, I got the impression that you didn't have many issues with it. So again, not that I want to hate on Star
No,
Wars
I
or
mean,
hate on Boba Fett.
I definitely did.
Yeah. No, it's cool that it's cool to see, even though there's differences in our opinions. I'm glad it's not just black and white for you as well. So
Yeah.
But you said something real quick. I just want to say you said something that made me think, kind of, linking back to the idea of the current state of the fan base and of Star Wars in general. Honestly, I feel like this is something I want to work on. I'm going to make it a personal goal of mine because listening to what you just said, seeing that scene with Django and those little hints that start giving you hope of where the story goes. Same thing happened for me, obviously, at several different parts throughout the show. And it's sort of like, how can I temper that? Like, how can I bring that down a little bit and just say, hey, well, this is a cool visual, like it's a cool visual. And maybe what it's about is kind of living in the moment of what that character is seeing and trying, like, actively giving some effort to not reading into things too much. I guess similar to what happened with me with Uncharted, there's a chance it could help us all going forward. Like, if we lower our expectations just a little bit, it's not a bad thing. It doesn't mean we love Star Wars less by lowering our expectations. It just means we understand that things are complex and good storytelling is actually hard to do for anyone who's ever attempted it. So you'll probably enjoy it more if you lower your standards. So I don't know.
And we won't get into it for the sake of viewership, but this is probably why I like The Last Jedi more than a lot of people. Is because at a certain point I'm like, okay, he's gotta show up with the green lightsaber and just start going crazy. And that's not what happened. It's what I wanted, but I was just like, okay, let's just see what happens. Let's just take it for what it is.
Real quick, I feel very similar to Ethan. I liked the things that I liked about The Last Jedi were things that I wasn't supposed to like. Oh my gosh, how did The Last Jedi do what it did by dividing all the fans? It's so honestly, that in itself is kind of cool when you think about it. Rian Johnson is a really good storyteller, and that in itself, how so many people could watch a piece of art and take away a completely different meaning and a completely different thing, and some people hate some parts and some people hate other parts. Like, in a way, that's exactly what an artist does, is they try to make something subjective so that you get what you want from it, so that everybody gets what they want from it. That's what good songwriting, you know that is, that really well, is like, to me, that's what the best songs are, specific enough and yet also very vague, in that everyone can say, well, it means this to me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, we don't got to get on a Last Jedi tangent.
Another time.
Hashtag I'm all about grumpy Luke.
But no, it's like you said, I think everyone could benefit from lowering the expectations a little bit from time to time, because now I feel like everyone, well, maybe not everyone, I should probably stop saying that, but a lot of fans.
No, I like everyone's and all's and
but a lot of fans, they'll kind of just like really hang on to like a theory that they really love, that they hear, or maybe it's a theory that they make up, and then there's so many people gravitating towards that theory, and when it doesn't happen, it's like, oh, that's wrong, that's a mistake.
Not my Star Wars.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But anyways, we can keep going with some of our topics, but
yeah, for sure.
Definitely good to hear more of your opinions on Boba Fett. Was there anything else that you wanted to touch on when it comes to Mandalorian. I'm hoping season 3 still happens this
The
year.
mods sucked. Don't put
Oh
techno
yeah.
for longer than 10 seconds in my Star Wars. The tweet it's officially Twi'lek, right? The Twi'lek Majordomo, whatever you call him, was annoying at first, but definitely grew on me. I actually
Did
by
he?
the end of it, I was all about that guy. Yeah, when he went out there with the tablet or whatever, I'm like, oh my gosh, I love this guy all of a sudden. I loved his whole vibe. And I think part of it is because I know people like that. And yet, even though what's her name with the frizzy hair with the droids, even though she did start to grow on me a little bit when they put those two characters together, no, I'm sorry, that is not working. It is too much for one camera.
Mando and or you're saying Peli and
the Majordomo, yes.
Yeah,
no,
gotcha.
No, it's too much, and then also vibing on each other. Ugh, nobody wants that. No.
Have you seen any of Christian's reviews lately, or his Book of Boba Fett's? Like at the very beginning,
few here and there, yeah.
His last couple, the intro is the guy.
Apologies.
It's so awesome.
No, at first I was like, man, this guy is really annoying. But literally by episode 2, he was cracking me up. Really? So, sorry, yes, 5 more things. I'm just kidding. The Hutts were amazing. The Hutts were awesome, and it was a darn shame they weren't in more of.
I know.
It was absolutely ridiculous that they would just give him a gift and then leave the planet. That just doesn't make any sense to me at all.
I know. I thought they were lying.
Yeah, there should have been more there. Anyway, but I'm forgetting what I was going to say that was positive. But yeah, there was. Oh no, what I wanted to say was about humor. Me and Landon were talking about this, about like kind of dissecting what's funny and what's not in Star Wars, and it's something I'm sort of working with. I'm working with some weird things. Like I told you, I'm working with the next show I get the chance, I'm gonna try to do something weird, like, oh well, I'm not gonna watch the flashback parts. I just something else that's weird that I've been working on. I know this is super random, but I think you'll appreciate this. I'm working on are spoilers really spoilers? I'm asking the question, and then I'm performing an experiment. And so right now I started watching Cobra Kai with the kids. And they've seen all the seasons that are out. And specifically what we do is they say, okay, before we play this episode, you need to spoil it for me. And they tell me exactly what's going to happen in the episode. And then I watch the episode. I think we're about 5 episodes in. So far, I'm really liking the show, even though I'm spoiled. So it's I want to throw that out there, and I'm going to do more experiments. But anyway, getting back to Star Wars with the humor, what I told Landon, something that I'm kind of dissecting and working out in my head is, it seems to me that when a character does something that's awkward, or when they do something that's funny but they're not trying to be funny, that's what's funny. When they're a character and they're trying to make a joke, that's not funny to me. It's so far from what I'm seeing, but I need to kind of keep that in mind and ask myself that question as I kind of rewatch everything. But for example, Poe making a Yo Mama joke is not funny. Han Solo
I was just about to say.
Yeah, you know where I'm going. Exactly.
I was just about to say Han and Din. I laugh at some of the things that Din Djarin says, like, just like, kind of like walking away, he'll throw, a one-liner, but he's, kind of like sarcastic, or it's just kind of him, I don't
Yeah.
know, I guess like being a little bit of like the tough guy, you know what I mean? Um,
Well, it's almost like they're being more relatable. Like that's what's funny is like when Han shoots the console and says boring, like or when he's talking and he says he's like we're fine here. How
yeah.
are you? Like that's so immediately relatable. You don't have to do a yo mama joke. And then he shoots the console and it's like it's relatable because that's exactly what I could see myself doing. And then it's like that's why it's funny. And he's not trying to be a comedian up here. So anyway, that's something I'm thinking through. These are the important things that I spend my time analyzing.
I do want to move on and talk about the Obi-Wan Kenobi show that's on the horizon. But even before that, again, I guess the point of us going through Boba Fett and talking about Mandalorian even is just to address the current state of Star Wars. Do you think that we're still in a good place? What's your opinion as a fan?
I think overall we are. Please excuse these dogs that occupy space in my house if you're hearing barking.
No worries.
But yeah, I think overall we are. And honestly, maybe another part of the whole fan base and the state of Star Wars is that it's almost like we need more content to appreciate the content. We have so much Marvel content now that it's like, yeah, some is better than others. Like you kind of just get over it really fast. So I think that's part of it, and I think that Star Wars is very slowly getting there. Oh, real quick, what I wish Star Wars would do, by the way, is just exactly the way Marvel takes comics and adapts them. I wish Star Wars would just take legends and adapt them. It's okay if people know a general idea of where the story is going. Just adapt them and change little things, and people will love it because people loved all the legend stuff. Anyway, but yeah, I think overall, in general, people are still excited for more Star Wars. Like people still want all these other shows, and it does seem, even though I think you and I have had conversations about Obi-Wan, and I was like hazy on what they're actually going to make it about. I do get the sense that honestly, I feel like that will probably be one of their most popular shows. I think once that hits, especially with Ewan McGregor, oh my gosh, I feel like they're gonna pull a lot of attention to that show. And man, it's a shame it's only gonna be one season, huh?
Definitely, but I mean, will it be the best though? That's what I want to know from you. That's what I want to know from the audience tuning in or watching on the replay. Will the Obi-Wan show be the best of the Star Wars shows? I think that it might. It definitely has the chance. People, they love Ewan McGregor. I mean, he's the light that shines through the prequels.
There are 3 people whose careers survived the prequels.
Yeah.
And I mean, you could argue that he easily survived the prequels.
No one ever said they didn't like the prequels because of Obi-Wan.
No,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, you look back through it and it's like, oh my gosh! As soon as he's on screen, it's like, okay, now I can appreciate these movies again. He's so grounded, and he doesn't overplay his part. He's an amazing actor. He just really is. And what he exudes is cool confidence. He doesn't have to be the center of attention in the shots that he's in. He's not overacting over there, and he just knows exactly who Obi-Wan is, and he does that with all his parts. So yeah, I think you're right. The only thing I would say, actually, and this is mostly for me, not for anybody watching, is again, tempering expectations. Maybe it's a paradox. Maybe if I'm hoping that it's a 10 out of 10, it immediately is going to set me up for failure. And maybe if I say, well, I'd be happy if it's a 5 out of 10, maybe once I see it, that makes it an 8 out of 10. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna temper my expectations, and I'm gonna say, you know what? If it's a 5 out of 10, I'm gonna have fun with it and just try to enjoy what's cool about it.
Yeah, I mean, everything that we've seen from Deborah Chow to her episodes with The Mandalorian have been really good, some of the best. Um, and Ewan McGregor actually recently said how much like respect that he has for her as a director, and that she's done a really amazing job. So I do think there's a lot of writing on it, but I guess I definitely have a lot of faith too.
Yeah. No, I will say, just my personal thoughts is I'm looking forward to that show more than I expected to at this point. Um, Hearing, like, the confirmation of Vader, and then rumors about Palpatine seem to be pretty strong rumors.
Yeah.
All of that is really cool, and it also makes me think of Andor, and Rogue One. We just watched Rogue One yesterday, actually. I was just like, wait, when's the last time we saw Rogue One?
What do you think on the rewatch?
Dude, that movie is so good. It is so Star Wars. Like,
Yeah.
if you like, not all the time throughout the movie, but there is so much of that movie that feels like you're watching episode 4. It feels like you're watching the Rebellion, and in that grittiness that the Rebellion had all throughout the original trilogy. That movie is amazing, in my opinion. It's like, when I rewatch it, I'm just like, man, this is one of my favorites. And again, like, that kind of goes back to what we've been talking about, like taking the good with the bad. I struggle to care about Jyn Erso. I really do, because I don't feel like they developed her character enough. But there's so much to love about that movie. I do like Cassian. I feel like he's way
I like
more
him too.
interesting than Jyn. And I just love watching. They showed a lot of the development of the Rebellion, like the things that kind of like the dirty things that nobody really likes to think about or talk about.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how much of that was in there until I rewatched it. It's probably the 6th or 7th time I've seen it, but I hadn't seen it in a couple years. So yeah, I love that they kind of went there, and there's actually much more hints at sort of the gray area of the Rebellion than you might first notice, on 1 or 2 watches. So
yeah, I think it's possible that we could be sleeping on the Cassian
On
or
Andor.
the Andor show.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Because he's they showed us that he's like one of those people that crosses that line between good and bad, for the sake of the Rebellion.
Yeah.
So it's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, and I think that's why I would say I'm even slightly more excited for Andor than I am Obi-Wan.
Really?
Yeah, because part of it's just, I think that's why Star Wars is really divisive too, and at the same time really beautiful, is because there's these phases or these generations, and when I think of Star Wars, like the heart of Star Wars, I think of the original trilogy, because we grew up obsessing about the original trilogy and rewatching all the VHSs. I mean, honestly, we probably watched them close to weekly. Like, we were just always watching them. It's weird now to think of it, but also we didn't have access, immediate on-demand access to millions of shows. But anyway, that's a side tangent for sure. But yeah, I think that's part of what's driving my excitement for Andor, is because I really just want more of that. I want that grungy feel of the docking bays of the Rebellion, and like those the ragtag meetings huddled around a console. Like, I don't know why, but probably nostalgic, childhood reasons, but that stuff is cool to me. making big things happen out of scraps and out of limitations, that's really appealing to me. So I think the rebellion in general, the stories that can come out of that, that's what appeals to me. So
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm still looking forward to Obi-Wan more because he's become my favorite character. I guess over the last, I don't know, 5-10 years. Anakin was my favorite character for a long time, but now Obi-Wan's my favorite character.
yeah, same. Me too.
But I think that the Andor show and the Mandalorian, I think those shows are the future of Star Wars. To tie it back into our episode tonight, I think that those shows really are the future. I think Grogu is definitely the future of Star Wars. His story can go on literally forever.
It's the future of Star Wars revenue, that's for sure.
Yeah, of toys.
Yeah, exactly.
We did have some good comments that we could address and get your thoughts on these. Definitely big shout out to Jake Hedge. We gotta do another show and have him on here too, and have you on.
It'd be cool to coordinate like just a massive show of everyone that's been on your podcast.
Yeah, maybe we'll have to do that soon.
Starfighter Spectacular. I don't know.
Yeah, because I don't know what episode this is, but we've done quite a bit so far. Okay, so let's see. Let's start with this one. Jake says, how are you guys feeling about how much Luke and Leia are going to be in the show? I heard they have a big part as kids in the show. Maul better show up. I don't need Maul to show up because of the Twin Sons episode in Rebels. And I guess I haven't heard too much about that. I have heard that they might be in the show as far as Luke and Leia, but I don't want them to really be a big part of it.
Same.
I could stand for Luke being an aspect, but like I think the show is really going to be about Obi-Wan and Anakin, and I'm so excited for this. When I was younger, I can't remember, but a friend had given me, can't remember which friend it was, but a friend had given me this book, and it was a book on Obi-Wan, and it's not canon anymore, but it was him going on a mission after episode 3, and he ends up finding a new apprentice, like for a brief time, but this apprentice is like tied into the Empire, and it was really good. I don't think they'll really do that, but I have high hopes, and I'm just like super excited for that show. But anyway, getting back to this question, how do you feel about Luke and Leia being in the show? Where are you with that?
I haven't heard this, first of all. So part of me is curious where we're hearing this. I'm totally with you. I don't want Maul to show up. I feel like there will be enough going on with Vader and possibly Palpatine. I think there will be plenty going on. And when it comes to kids, I'm sorry, but a good child actor is like, think of how many you can count. Like the little girl from Signs, Abigail Breslin, I believe is her name, coming to me for some reason. Amazing little child actress, right? Like those are 1 in a million. So sorry, kids. I love kids, but leave them out. They can sit this one out. They can be in shots in the background, as Obi-Wan watches through binoculars or something. And I would much rather prefer a deep dive into Obi-Wan and his, almost like the psychology of what he's thinking and feeling and going through during that time, and struggling with relationships, and his relationship with Anakin, and maybe struggling with hope and possibility of saving him still. Like, I would much rather just do a deep dive into Obi-Wan. That's what I want out of it. And at the same time, tempering expectations. Maybe we get some childhood Luke and Leia, and it's okay, So
Right. Yeah, for sure. Okay. Next message. Jake says, I doubt it will be the best. I hope it will, but we know what they do with OG characters. Oh no, I just want this show to be about him more than some new character they want to introduce. Just make him BA. Yeah, I agree with that. What was I gonna say? Oh, I want it to dive into his relationship with the Force too. I mean, there's just so many things. There's so many things that they could do, but his relationship with the Force, his relationship with Qui-Gon and Yoda, I think might come into play. And I think a big element to this story, because a lot of people don't realize, that mission that Yoda sends Obi-Wan in, and this is why the Jedi aren't, 100% correct. That mission that Yoda sends Obi-Wan on to go to Mustafar is not to save Anakin; it's to kill Anakin. He tells him that he's too far gone, basically. He's not there
wait,
on Mustafar.
when is this in Clone Wars?
No, Episode 3.
I've only watched that once. I'm just kidding.
Please.
I'm just kidding.
Episode.
I don't remember.
I think a lot of people don't realize this.
Okay. Yes.
Obi-Wan is there, and even Padme asks him, "Are you going to kill him?" And he doesn't answer. Obi-Wan's mission is to kill Anakin in Episode 3. It's not what he wants to do, but it's what he's prepared to do. It's what he's told to do from Yoda. But in this show, I think it's really going to be about him, like you said, can I still save him? Is there still hope to save him? Because he didn't try that the first time. And I think it's going to have definite repercussions, when they ultimately fight against each other. But was there anything else you wanted to touch on with this comment, or we can move on?
No, I guess all I'd say is I would much rather the cool moments of Obi-Wan taking action be, calm, cool, and calculated. Like, I want to see more of that original trilogy Obi-Wan. I want to see at least a transition to where we could easily see that, and he would be, he would, he would kick butt when he needs to, but for the most part, he's gonna be pretty diplomatic, and to me, that makes those moments where he does take action, with his physicality, it makes those more impactful if he's cool, calm, and calculated, and really tapped into the Force. So,
agree. Okay, Rogue One is the most grounded spy type of movie. It was the best. Showed how the rebels operated and what they have to go through. 100%. Jake also says, me and my brother grew up quoting different movies and seeing who could guess what movie and who said it with the most details about the scene. Nothing like brothers' love for certain movies. Yeah, I mean, I think that's why me and Adrian are here tonight, for sure. Jake says they casted young Leia and Luke, I believe.
Yeah, I heard that.
Millie Bobby Brown for Leia?
Oh, dude, give me a Leia movie immediately with Millie Bobby Brown.
That had been a rumor for a long time that she was.
It's one of those fan casts and Sebastian Stan. Give me a break. Like, just, I feel like Mark Hamill would let it go, but I feel they kind of hold him too sacred in a way, like the producers and directors. Anyway, but I would have been so on board for Sebastian Stan as Luke in The Mandalorian and in Boba Fett. But that's fine. But Millie Bobby Brown, it's one of those fan casts that it's like, it just makes sense. Just do it,
Yeah. Although, and we do have to keep moving, but I was just gonna say, the deep fake, the CGI, it was so good in
Yeah,
Book of
it was
Boba
great.
Fett.
Yeah, for sure.
Something else.
Give me the Luke show now.
Shout out to the sidekicks, Marcellus and Nathan. They say, "What's up,
Yo.
guys? Kenobi is probably the most hyped show ever for Star Wars." And then Jake says he definitely sent him to kill Anakin. LOL.
Little
Obi.
Annie.
Obi says he can't kill him and begs Yoda to go in his place, and he would take on the Chancellor. Oh yeah, that's true too. Yeah, he said send me to take out Palpatine. Okay, so we only have a couple more topics to go through. Only a little bit more time. But what do you want to move on to next? I mean, I think we're going to talk a little bit about a secret Star Wars film that's in the works right now. You want to touch on that?
I mean, really not much that I have to say on that other than honestly, just give me more secret stuff. You don't gotta hype, but then that's saying some, obviously coming from a fan perspective, like I'm gonna watch anything that has a Star Wars label on it, almost anything. But like, yeah, just keep stuff secret. Like I wish that they wouldn't promote stuff as much as they do, and at the same time, I kind of get it from a business perspective. But I think that's really cool. I think that would be new and different, and with how much they try to promote movies and have like these long project times to bring a movie to the big screen, it's almost like, you know what, you might as well run an experiment and see if that actually has value, as opposed to just keeping something secret and be like, hey, this movie comes out in 6 months, like you know nothing about it. So I would love more secret stuff, and just give us the content, and
Same here. I really want to still see a Rian Johnson trilogy.
Yeah, me too.
I would really love that. And even more than that, I would love to see a Christopher Nolan Star Wars trilogy, but I don't think that'll ever happen. But it won't
for multiple reasons. I think what could be more likely is Denis Villeneuve Star Wars movie. I think that he would be down. But again,
Nolan's not down.
No, Nolan wouldn't be down because he likes to do his own thing, and Disney/Star Wars, they are really involved. Nolan wants complete creative freedom. That's why his movies, there's one and sometimes two guys that wrote it, and it's him and every once in a while his brother.
Yeah.
He craves the control, which I can relate to. So I don't hold it against him, and look what he gives us. He gives us quality stuff. So he's not going to go, we're never going to see it. We're never going to see him do a Star Wars movie.
That's a bummer. But
Denis Villeneuve, I feel like, is a solid director, and I feel like he would give us a good show.
I think everyone's ready for some Knights of the Old Republic, so either film or TV show, they definitely just,
oh my gosh,
they need to make it happen already.
To me, that is the one thing. If they kept that secret and then just said, hey, this is dropping soon, people would go nuts. They would it would just be so much hype. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, Jake wants us to talk about the Star Cruiser news. I don't know a lot about it, but it is something that I did want to bring up. Let's see. He had sent another message about it. And Jake, if you want to send in more thoughts or anything else that has come out. I know that there was, I think, a big live stream today. I just wasn't able to tune in for it. But news about it. But he had said, how have you guys felt about the Galactic Star Cruiser? Have you guys been keeping up with the news? Oh, okay. Well, there's your answer. Not too much. Every once in a while I do tune in for some of the news on it. Huge Disney fan, but I guess what I was gonna, say to begin with is just I really want to at least have one experience in the Star Cruiser hotel.
I think, yeah. I guess, well, first off, I heard that they were tying in the name. What is it? Oh gosh, it's on the tip of my tongue. Oh, there's an Ellie Goulding album called this. Does that help you at all? No. Anyway,
No,
the Galactic Star Cruiser has a name, and it's the same name of an older Ellie Goulding album back when she was good. And they're making that tied into a Han and Leia comic book or novel where Han and Leia go on the Galactic Star Cruiser. Named,
oh my gosh,
Halcyon.
Oh yeah. Is that the name of the cruiser?
Yeah, I 90% sure.
Okay.
So yeah, yeah, and it feels really gimmicky and kind of just like, really cheesy to put that into your story before it all, like, or try to time it when it comes out and everything. Anyway, I guess all that I have to say on the hotel thing is I would love to experience it, and at the same time, I know it's going to be so absurdly expensive that I'm going to be also, while I'm being wowed, I will also genuinely be simultaneously annoyed at how much money I'm spending. And so I think I would experience it once and be like, okay, I'm good. Like, that's it. Because nothing, for me, and my level of fandom, nothing they could do would make it worth the money that they're going to charge. I just know that already. So
this is the Disney way.
This is the way, yes.
Okay, we'll get a couple more comments and then we will wrap things up. Jake says it's not looking the best for Star Cruiser. A lot of people have been disappointed with the quality for the price. The pictures look cheap and the show is not good. Obvious issues with Rey's lightsaber. Yeah, that was super weird about the saber. That they kept showing like trailers and stuff of it, but you can't even purchase it. I don't know if you can even hold it. But you definitely can't purchase this lightsaber where a lot of people were getting excited because it was one where the blade actually retracts. So yeah, that was lame to hear that. He says, yes, they are trying to make up a story for Solo, and Leia having their honeymoon on the ship just seems forced. It's so expensive and you have to pay for drinks and food extra. Yeah, I don't need that story. I don't need that story.
Oh goodness.
She clearly drops the one that lights up and picks up the solid one to fight Kylo. Not sure.
Yeah, the Halcyon that we should be talking about is Ellie Goulding's album, Halcyon Days.
It's a good one.
Anyway.
It's a good one. But okay, is there any other quick things that you wanted to mention before we get out of here?
No, that's pretty much it. Super hyped if and when 2024 comes around, is it? Or 2023 when we're supposed to get the Ahsoka show. Really hoping that's a Rebels, live action Rebels. But yeah, that's about it. That would get me hyped. I was really into Rebels when that was going. I felt like that was kind of like the secret Star Wars that me and my family knew about that no one else did, kind of thing. So we had a ton of fun with Rebels.
Yeah, miss those days. I would come over on Friday nights, have dinner with you.
The simpler times.
Kids, Megan. Watch Rebels. Those are awesome, awesome
Yeah,
times.
for sure.
And yeah, we didn't talk too much about Ahsoka. That can be something for next time. But Ahsoka is definitely the future as well. Um, and I know we mentioned towards the beginning of the episode some of these things they didn't work out super well as far as like the shared universe that they're trying to build. With Mando and Boba, there wasn't like that. There just wasn't for me. There wasn't a good balance of it. I loved the Mando stuff that we got. Um, it's just it overshadowed Boba's story. Um, but I'm still definitely on board with the future where they're taking things. I do like them trying to have a shared universe where Boba can jump into Mando, Mando can jump into Boba's show, they can jump into Ahsoka's show, that sort of thing. I think that's where we're headed, and I think a lot of us have been speculating, but I think where it's all ultimately going is um, kind of like an end game sort of battle where they go up against Thrawn, Luke Skywalker included. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, maybe one last thing I'll say is a super mini rant about um, you know, the emotion that we feel out of Star Wars, and I feel like that's one specific thing you can point to Marvel and the MCU, that you can look at those movies and say, look how emotional this is, and look how emotional that is. At the beginning of, was it Infinity War? Um, I just remember feeling like a gut punch of emotion. No, it was at the beginning of Endgame when they show Hawkeye, and so it's those kinds of things. Like, I think maybe it's time as a fan base that we kind of let go of this idea that we're gonna get this emotional gut punch from Star Wars, and just say, you know what, maybe this is more of just a good time flick. Maybe this is more of just set piece, cool action, and fun, as opposed to the depth. Because, to be honest, we
hmm,
crave the depth.
yeah,
I think when we experience depth the way that we've seen it in MCU and countless other films, it's not about the MCU. It's all over the place. It is possible to have both, that depth, and then the display, or the spectacle. So I think that's where we get spoiled, is because we want both. And especially when you love a property like Star Wars, you want both out of Star Wars. But again, it's possible we could all be a lot more satisfied if we say, hey, Star Wars is more about a good time, as opposed to that depth that we, deep down kind of want. So
yeah. Man, I wish we had talked more about that subject. I actually think that we still do get depth here and there sprinkled in, uh, but
sprinkled, yeah.
but I don't think it's as much as we would all really like.
No, because one super quick last thing about the MCU. Sorry to tie it back so much to that, but it's just a good example of kind of nerdy, more fantastical stuff or sci-fi stuff, where it's like, honestly, in my opinion, so many of those movies, like, those actors should be nominated for all the best awards from their performances, because
Yeah,
nobody really talks about the incredible acting happening, you know, when Chris Hemsworth breaks down hearing Thanos' name. Give me a break. Like, that is so, like, you can feel that tension and that emotion. So it's those kinds of things. Yeah, it's a whole other side tangent, but I don't think those movies get enough credit for the emotion that they convey. And at the end of the day, I have a strong opinion that emotion is what connects us and makes us feel drawn towards the movies that we see.
I would agree for sure. Well, it's been a fun Star Wars episode with you, bro. Thanks so much
Yeah.
for being on the show. Thanks everyone
Hmm.
for tuning in. And again, if you're watching on the replay, you can still join the conversation, and we will respond in the chat, in the comment section. Things to look forward on the channel. We'll be streaming some games again soon, And looking forward to the Batman film coming out soon. I'll be doing a review on that. And yeah, pretty soon we'll have more Marvel and Star Wars content to review soon as well. So that's going to be it for this episode, guys. Thanks again. We will catch you guys in the next one.